Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the WMMA podcast, talking about UFC at the Apex once again. Don't ask me what number we're on. I don't know. There will be a number in the title. There you go. I do have to apologize. I am going through my yearly allergy phase where for like 2 to 3 weeks I just get slammed. I don't know what it is. Something that blooms around this like geographical area, and I do not get along. The beginning of June is hell. But I'm getting through it as best I can. Usual disclaimer here, I am going to be talking about betting. I'm going to be talking about my betting. I'm going to be talking about betting odds. I'm going to be talking about information you can use to bet. However, MMA is an inherently chaotic sport. It is not a path to financial freedom. The nature of fighting in general, the equipment via the small gloves, and also the fact that, let's be honest here, MMA is ripe for corruption and fight fixing and stuff. These are all reasons why you should not be betting big money on these fights. However, I do think there are a lot of fights on this particular card that you can bet on and make some decent money. And overall, I think this is a pretty good card. I'm looking at it from top to bottom. You have a main event with a former champion in it against a very relevant up-and-coming fighter. You have a co-main event between a guy who is the bodyguard to like real proper contention against a guy who, if he could get his shit together, could be a contender. Faris Ziam versus Tom Nolan. Okay, that I can put aside. I don't like that fight. It's going to be fun. It's going to be action-packed. But I don't like that fight because there are better things to do with both guys. Bryce Mitchell, Santiago Luna, that's perfectly fine for a short notice fight, so let's go. Iobaru Winewski versus Junior Tafa. It's a violent slobber knocker that doesn't really tell us a lot, but hey, again, it will be fun. Matt Schnell, Alessandro Costa will be fun. Doesn't necessarily scratch the nerd edge a little bit. Marcus McGee, John Yanis. It's fine. It was supposed to be Marcus McGee versus Jakob Wicklock, which would have been a much better fight. Similarly, Matt Schnell was supposed to be fighting Imanol Rodriguez, which would have been a much better fight as well. And Bryce Mitchell was supposed to be fighting Victor Henry. I'm not sure if that's necessarily better. No, that's a better fight. That's a better fight because this is a huge step up for Luna. So the fight card as it was going to be would have actually been stellar. Now it's just been downgraded to very good. Bruno Silva versus Edgar Chairez. It's a flyweight fight. It's fun. The only fight on this card, two fights on this card I view as just abominations. Chelsea Chandler versus Priscilla Cachoeira. Get that out of here, please. God, cut them both when it's done. And then we have Jordan Leavitt versus Joe Anderson Brito. That's fine. Yusela Chavez versus Eunice Duden. That's the other abortion of a fight. And then Ketlin Souza versus Ariane Carnelosi is a bit pointless as a rematch, but hey, it's fine. I'm here for it. It's not terrible. I'm just a little confused why we need the rematch. Bilal Muhammad versus Gabriel Bonfim, Brendan Allen versus Edmund Shabazian. Can I cover these two fights like kind of at the same time, please? And the reason for that is I think the vibe in both of these fights is very, very, very similar. There are differences, but there are similar vibes here. The vibe is you have the old guard, Bilal Muhammad and Brendan Allen, coming in here and looking to spoil the up-and-comers' day. Now, that seems a bit weird because Allen's only 30 years old and Edmund Shabazian's 28. I really thought there was an age gap there, more than 2 years, but in preparing for this, I realized there really isn't. But it's the old guard versus the new guard, and the question is really, does the new guard, who has the physical tools to win these fights, actually have the technological, the emotional, the mental, the ability to pull things together? And in both cases, I think the answer is no. So in the case of Bonfim has a good feel for counters. He's quick. He's got good power. He's explosive. He can grapple quite well. He's actually a dynamic submission threat as well. Wrestles pretty well too. But all of his wins are hallmarked by the fact that he needs to have that advantage in order to win. He needs to have the ability to out-wrestle his opponent, or to just be, just for them to have no way of controlling the fight. Randy Brown has no way of controlling the fight. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, as of 2025, doesn't. Chaos Williams does not. Angelosa does not. Trevin Giles does not. Munir Lazez kind of does. That was a quick sub. I'll give it that one. And then you have like the Nicholas Dalby fight where Dalby was able to march him down, get taken down a couple times, but get up, be a strong hoss, being a beast, be a guy who looked at Bonfim's power and didn't have a problem with it. And he won. And that is by far the most similar to Bilal Muhammad that you have. Muhammad has looked bad as of late. I think the JDM fight and the Ian Gary fight both showed that for a guy who had been champion, that there is a significant regression for him that is at play. But he's still a good game planner. He's still a good wrestler. He's a better technical boxer than I think a lot of people give him credit for, because he lacks the physical attributes that you would want to pair with that, i.e. explosive power and speed. He lacks that. But he's going to bring the pressure. He's going to bring volume at a reasonable level and a takedown threat. I have yet to see Bonfim deal with any of that in an effective manner. And while there are flashes that Bonfim has like ideas and like high grade decision making, it is not consistent enough to pick here. So if Bonfim knocks him out or submits him really early, I'm not going to be shocked, because that is the kind of guy he is. But what I would really love to see is Bonfim in a long fight, not necessarily decision or anything like that, but a long fight with Bilal Muhammad actually come up with answers for Bilal Muhammad and have Bilal Muhammad not look like a complete ghost of himself. That would be the goal. That would be the best fight. It's just I'm not picking that to happen. I'm picking Bilal to march him down, keep the pressure on, keep the pace there, keep the wrestling, keep the boxing, and certainly for Bonfim to have moments to hurt Bilal, probably with some good shots, to land some really quality counter hooks and stuff, because that is what he does. But to not be able to do it enough to get a finish or enough to get a win on 3 rounds. And then Shabazian, again, what I would hope for is that Edmund Shabazian goes out there and wins a long fight with Brendan Allen, where he finally confirms that he has actually fixed some of the shit that is going wrong for him. And there's a lot of people calling for that because Brendan Allen's record against Extreme Couture has been poor. But the problem with Shabazian is it's not, as much as we want to make fun of like him being a Glendale guy because he was Ronda Rousey's, not protege, but client. She was literally his manager. The problem wasn't necessarily the Glendale training environment. It didn't help. But the problem was that Edmund is a bully. When things start to go bad, or not even bad, just hard, he tends to really have problems. And he can still beat guys like an AJ Dobson, but he can't beat GM3, and he can't beat Fluffy Hernandez. Neither could Brendan Allen, mind you. Ian Bavoff, etc. And his best wins are like Andre Muniz. That's a problem. It's a big problem. Brad Tavares is his second best win. So I got to go with Brendan Allen. I got to go with Brendan Allen to probably get his butt kicked a bit early because Shabazian's a better athlete and a tremendous starter. But to survive it, to make it hard, to implement his grappling, to do the things that Shabazian tends to just fold on and get submitted. So Brendan Allen's the pick by sub, probably second round. And Bilal's the pick by decision. Bilal is a minus 104 to minus 125 favorite, plus 102 to minus 105 on Bonfim. It's respectable. I think that's a little closer than it should be. And I'll be betting Bilal Muhammad. Allen's a minus 178 to minus 225 favorite, plus 152 to plus 175 on Shabazian. I will be betting that as well, because I think that's probably closer than it should be. I think the favorite is the right person. So I'll be betting those ones pretty good. And then we go to Fares Ziam versus Tom Nolan, which is another fight I want to bet on because Fares Ziam is the minus 270 to minus 335 favorite, plus 228 to plus 260 on Nolan. I don't think Nolan is good. I don't think Ziam is good either. Ziam, however, though, is a mystery to me, where I watch him out wrestle and do good things against Mike Davis, and I look at what he's doing and I'm like, that shouldn't work. But it does. And at some point I need to come to like grips, terms, acceptance of that fact that realistically Fares Ziam is actually a good fighter. He has the physical attributes you would want. He has the size. He has a well-rounded game. He can wrestle quite well. He can strike quite well. And I just need to accept that. Tom Nolan is really violent, really aggressive. He likes to brawl. He likes to scrap. He's a big guy, 6'2", 73-inch reach at 155 is quite massive. And he beats people who are awed by his size or who freak out even like just a little bit. But like his durability is a massive problem. You can't be getting nuked by Nicholas Mota, knocked down by Victor Martinez, and hurt by Charlie Campbell. It doesn't work. But having a competitive fight with Alex Reyes, it does not work. And that's why I don't like this fight, because Fares Siam has earned something bigger. And I say this as the number one hater in the fan club. The guy is on a 6-fight winning streak against all fighters that I would say are arguably better than Tom Nolan. Sadikoff, Davis are for sure better. I would say Herbert is for sure better. Figlak's more of a maybe. Puelles probably not. Frivola probably not. But he should be getting something like ranked. And the thing is while this is going to be a violent fight, like I said, Tom Nolan's violent against just about anyone. He doesn't need Fares Siam to be entertaining. So put Tom Nolan against somebody else near the bottom of the division. Let him do his thing. Let him be exciting. Let him be violent. And give Fares Siam something near the top. I've got Siam by TKO because the durability of Nolan is a serious limitation. And Siam is as long and about as tall. So I don't think the size is going to intimidate him. I don't think there's going to be an adrenaline dump. I don't think there's going to be a panic. I don't think there's going to be a difficulty navigating the size. Bryce Mitchell versus Santiago Luna. This is a fight that feels too soon for Luna. Luna's a good fighter. He's a good prospect. He's 21 years old and he's really putting something together. He's got some decent combination punching. He's got some power. He is not clueless as a grappler. He can scramble. He can do all the things. But he is coming from fighting Quan Lee, who is an okay athlete, but otherwise really does not offer much at a UFC level. And Angel Pacheco, who neither offers a lot physically or technically at a UFC level. This is a massive step up for him, and if he was ready for this, I'm going to be shocked. Because Bryce Mitchell is someone who is difficult to deal with. He's very long for the division, although actually has a reach disadvantage against Luna, but still, he's 5'10". He's a big guy. He's a former featherweight. He is not the greatest impactful wrestler in the world, but he chain wrestles very well. He's a top-notch grappler, and he works an interesting range kicking game that, given the Quan Lee fight, I don't really think Luna has a lot of great answers for, to be honest. Would I pick Santiago Luna in the future in this fight? Absolutely. This smells like a rematch that happens 5 years down the road. But right now, no. I don't think he's ready for this. I hope to be wrong, because of course I don't really like Bryce Mitchell, although he is making me cheer for him on social media, because like, the guy is very much against the UFC White House experiment and being like, this is a desecration of the office and what the government should be doing and a waste of taxpayer money. And it is. So Blind Squirrel is right every so often, and the MAGA chuds of the MMA world are losing their shit about it because they used to love Bryce Mitchell and now they can't. Io Baranowski, odds. Bryce Mitchell is a minus 117 to minus 150 favorite. That is very bettable. Plus 109 to plus 120 on Luna. Junior Taffa versus Io Baranowski. I guess there's two ways that this fight can go. Either they're going to just go out there and bang, and one of them's going to get knocked out. And to be honest, I don't honestly know which one. Or Baranowski's going to remember that he actually can grapple, and he's going to take Taffa down and submit him. Because Taffa is a terrible, terrible, terrible grappler, even by the standards of 205. So I'm going to go with Baranowski by submission, because he may even accidentally find it. He may get hurt by Taffa and end up submitting him anyways. He may hurt Taffa and club and sub him as well. So maybe the judo background comes out. Now, stay the heck away from betting this fight, because it's minus 335 to minus 420 on Io Baranowski. And plus 290 to plus 320 on Taffa. I would not recommend betting on Baranowski at those kind of odds against anybody. And I don't recommend betting on Tafa, like, ever. So, I'm just like, I don't know. Is there a prop that's worth a consideration here? The under is not really profitable. Fight ends in round 1 is not very... there's nothing here. There's nothing here that I am going to be all that interested in, to be honest. This is a fun, sloppy brawl, and I'm here for it. I'm going to enjoy watching it. But from a betting standpoint, I'm staying the hell away from it. Matt Schnell versus Alberto Costa. I can't pick Schnell. Schnell is on his, third retirement. He does not have a chin. Probably worse yet, he's realized he doesn't have a chin. He had a game that, while very, very fun, was very, very dangerous to begin with because he's tall and long and has a decent striking game. But his need to scrap, which I usually say is a good thing, always exposed the chin to danger. And he doesn't have a wrestling game to really implement the fact that he is actually a very good grappler. But if he tries to take down Costa, I don't think it's going to work. And Costa does hit really hard. Costa has problems. He fights at a slow pace. I think he can be broken down. I think he can be beaten by anybody with a relatively high-end athleticism, but Schnell's not a particularly great athlete, and it's just the durability. It's the durability is what it comes down to. Costa by TKO. Matt Schnell in recent memory has beaten Jimmy Flick, who is a singularly not UFC caliber flyweight. Other than that, you have to go back to Sumu Darji in 2022, and that's because Sumu Darji was not smart enough to just take the fact that he had murdered Schnell and not grapple with him. In a nutshell. That's all he needed to do. So Costa by TKO. He is a prohibitive favorite, though, at minus 400 to minus 649. There's better places to utilize your money here. Plus 350 to plus 450 on Schnell. Marcus McGee, John Yanis. It's a filler fight because it's a late notice replacement one with Yanis coming in what was going to be a better fight. Who was McGee supposed to fight originally? This was supposed to be McGee versus Wicklotch, which even that's not a great fight. Honestly, kind of feels like way too much of a downgrade for McGee after losing to Peter Yan. Dude lost to Peter Yan, who went on to win the title. He's, prior to that, beaten Jonathan Martinez, Gaston Bolaños, JP Buys, and Journey Newsom. Those are not great fighters by any means, but I would argue Martinez is above Wicklotch. But Yanis is a hard puncher, but he's a bad grappler. He's an okay wrestler. He's a pretty decent athlete. McGee could just outstrike him because, again, outside of Peter Yan, he does that. He is a monster. Or he can take the really, 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 really easy approach and just take Yanis down and submit him. I'm going to assume the latter. The former is possible. Maybe even we go to decision because McGee's not necessarily the most reliable finisher in the world. So, at least against higher end competition. So, I'm going with McGee. He is a prohibitive favorite at minus 459 to minus 530. Plus 350 to plus 380 on Yanis. What is the prop by sub? That could be interesting. McGee, okay. McGee by sub is plus 460 or plus 400 to plus 510. I'm more than happy to ride that. Bruno Silva versus Edgar Chairez. This is a fun flyweight fight that doesn't have a lot of actual value to it, but it's going to be a fun time. It's going to be a fun scrap between two guys that are the upper end gatekeepers of the division. Bruno Silva is a little too small to really maximize what he does, which is a lot of decent power punching and good grappling and pretty reasonable wrestling. Chairez is got the size, 71-inch reach, 5'7", to be a real problem, but his game is very structureless. He's very tough, very durable, has power, will absolutely take an opportunistic submission attempt on a neck if it is presented. But I always have a hard time picking him. I've done it, But he had a closer than I expected fight with Felipe Bunez. He did destroy CJ Vergara, lost to Joshua Van, no shame there, beat Daniel Lacerda, lost to Tetsuya Taira. So it's a bit of a weird one because this is definitely a level of this is simultaneously a level of opponent he's definitely not lost to. At least unless you want to go back to the Mexican scene in like 2020 when he was losing like random fights to like Jesus Aguilar and Axel Osuna and Alberto Trujillo. Like, that would be the exception to that. But it's also someone who's much less obviously flawed than Bunez, Vergara, Lacerda, Gianni Vasquez, Roberto Guerrero, and so on. So I'm going to go with Silva. He just seems better. Like, Shirez has more physical tools. He's more physically sized to it. He's not necessarily a better athlete, but he's an athlete with... He's a similar athlete with better size and a better frame. But I have a hard time picking him. It's just so messy. So messy. Silva by decision is my pick. He looked pretty good against Charles Johnson. He put on a really good display against a way better fighter than Edgar Shirez, even in a loss. And a loss that a lot of people thought he won. Minus 113 to minus 138 on Silva, plus 101 to plus 110 on Shirez. Normally that's a bettable line. I'm not sure if it's going to be this time just because I'm betting on a lot of the higher up cards because I feel way better about this. Because like Shirez may win this fight by just being too big for Silva to really actually impose his game on. There is that chance. But Shirez is not a big enough underdog to take that gamble. And Silva is a small enough favorite that I could consider it. But there is better bang for your buck on this card. Now we get into the not so good stuff. And that's Chelsea Chandler versus Priscilla Cachoeira. Two fighters that should not be on the roster. Should be nowhere near a fight card. At least a UFC one. Chandler actually, I think, really should retire. And it's not because she's bad. It's because she clearly is like kind of terrified of getting hit. And her reactions to getting hit are quite bad. This is a two true outcome fight. Option A, Chandler goes out there and basically just like smashes into her, clinches with her, drags her to the ground, tries to do her thing. She did it to Josiane Nunes. She did it to Julio Stoliarenko. She failed spectacularly to get at going against Yana Santos, Norma Dumont, Jocelyn Edwards. Or Cachoeira catches her with something like actually kind of powerful because the one aspect of her game that works is power, similar to what she did to Josiane Nunes and Ariane da Silva, and gets the win that way. I guess there's a third option where like Cachoeira just gets disqualified for being a cheating son of a... You know the saying. I don't have anything else to say about this. I'm going with the underdog just because that's the only way I can look at this fight and make a pick. And apparently the underdog right now is Priscilla Cachoeira. So Cachoeira, probably by TKO, because Chandler will freak out after getting hit really, really hard. That's it. That's all I got. Moving on. Jordan Leavitt versus Joe Anderson Brito. I would love to pick Brito here because he is the much more fun fighter. The much higher ceiling fighter, and just generically the dude I want to see do better in the UFC. I have no problem with Jordan Leavitt, but like he has maxed out, I think. But I also have to remember watching Brito lose to Pat Sabatini and having serious issues with Jonathan Pierce just like wanting to grapple him, and Bill Algeo wanting to grapple him, and like I'm kind of stuck going, can Brito win this? Absolutely. He hits really hard. He's explosive as all hell. He's got a good submission game. He's got a great guillotine choke. It's on the table. But this is stylistically the exact type of fight I've seen him lose before. Someone who is not the most well-rounded, because Jordan Leavitt's striking game is not very good. It's got some decent pop to it. It has its moments, but like realistically, no. He wants to come forward. He wants to pressure you. He wants to chain wrestle you. He wants to get you down. He wants to maybe even slam you. He wants to out-grapple you. That is a path to victory against Joe Anderson Brito. It's a big one, and Leavitt at 145 is a real powerful, really strong dude. So I'm going to go with Leavitt by decision. I'll be really happy to be wrong, but Brito will give him all the opportunities to grapple F him in the world. If you're going to do that, It's really hard to pick you beating Jordan Leavitt. Really hard. The favorite in this fight is Brito. I don't have a problem with that. Minus 170 to minus 210. Plus 150 to plus 165 on Leavitt. I'll be betting on Leavitt. Again, I will be perfectly happy to be wrong because Brito is super fun. But Brito is willing to clinch way too much for his own good. If he would define the fight as an explosive, power striking affair, he would probably win a lot more fights. Gisela Chavez versus Eunice Duden. Duden is terrible. She has power, and that is literally it. Chavez probably should have lost a Contender Series to Sofia Montenegro, and has beaten no one with wins outside of Montenegro. So, it's a bad fight. If you're going to have them on the roster, I think this is what you do. But I think the other problem is they're both 29 years old. It's like if they were Santiago Luna's age, 21 years old, it'd be like, okay, they're developing. There are some building blocks here. Duden's not a bad athlete. She hits hard. She has decent instincts for the game. Like she backs off when it's applicable and doesn't seem to freak out when she's getting outstruck. Chavez is big, 5'6", 67.5-inch reach. She has a decent amount of pop. She has a decent amount of athleticism. She has well-formed strikes when she's focusing on it and when she's not panicking. The problem is that panic is very much applicable whenever she's on the back foot. Montenegro made her panic a number of times. And she also doesn't really seem to know how to check low kicks. They're both with gyms that I don't even know. Like, Duden is listed as unaffiliated, and then Chavez's gym doesn't even have a Tapology page. So it's like, I'm just not hopeful for improvements here. It's not that they can't be good. It's that the deck is significantly stacked against them. They're starting a little bit late. They don't have the greatest coaching in the world. We'll see, I guess. I will take Chavez because, like I said, there are things I like about her game. She is big. She is decently athletic. She hits with some pop. She has some form. She has some grappling game, maybe. I really don't know because, like, her fights before getting to Contender Series are all girls with 0 wins. Same with Duden. And Duden really just is power. So, Chavez by TKO. That's the other thing is I don't think Duden's particularly durable. And Chavez is the favorite, minus 285 to minus 420. I would not bet that at all. And Duden's plus 265 to plus 310. Don't bet on this fight. It doesn't belong on a UFC card. Like I said, there are two complete dead ends on this card. And, well, they were in the last 3 fights. Katlyn Souza versus Ariane Carnelossi in a rematch of a fight I honestly didn't know actually happened. So I went back and watched it. Carnelossi won by a body kick. And I have interest here because Souza is a better fighter than she was then. I think she's generically become better. I think there's a little more technique to her game in general. I think there's a little more pace to her game in general. I think there's a little more aggression to her game in general. I don't know if it really matters, though. And I get it. Carnelossi's not looked great in the UFC for a variety of reasons. She has, let's see here. Let's go through the full rundown. She came in, lost to Angela Hill. No problem there. Beat Yang Ling and Estela Nunez, and then lost to Lupe Godinez. Lost to Pierre Rodriguez. It's a win because DQ, because Rodriguez headbutted her, but she lost. And then she recently lost to Talita Alencar, which is really concerning. And I get it. She's headed downwards. The thing here is that her game is very momentum-based. She is one of the most dedicated bully fighters at 115. She is strong. She is powerful. She is reasonably technical, reasonably well-rounded, and if she can pressure you, she tends to have a good day. And if she has confidence, she tends to have a good day. And nothing about the first fight with Souza saw her confidence shaken. Not necessarily winning that fight, to be clear. But when Souza was having success, it didn't seem to bother her. It didn't seem to perturb her from coming forward. It didn't seem to perturb her from hitting Souza really, really hard. And she still has all those athletic upsides against Souza. So, could Souza win this fight? Absolutely. It's on the table. Revenge is nice. But I kind of think Carnelossi is the type of fighter that if she's beaten you once, actually has a really good chance of doing it again, unless you have significantly changed as a fighter. Like I said, Souza's gotten better, but I don't think she's different as a fighter. So I am going to go with Carnelossi. She's the underdog. I understand why. She's been doing pretty badly lately. She's on essentially a 3-fight skid with a DQ win mixed in there for good measure. And Souza has been pretty good lately. 1-2 in her last 3, but arguably beat Pierre Rodriguez. Arguably beat Angela Hill, both split decision losses. Beat Bruna Brazil. Although arguably lost that fight as well. And I think that's the key thing, is that if Souza doesn't have a way of finishing you, I just think that she ends up in really, really close battles. And when Carnelossi hit her in their first fight, it meant something. When Souza hit Carnelossi, it really didn't. Souza's super tough. She got finished before. I suspect this one goes to the judges' scorecards. So Ariane Carnelossi is my pick. I am betting pretty heavily on her as an underdog. Could it backfire? Absolutely. And that's why this is not a path to financial freedom. Anyways, hope you enjoy the fight card. Again, outside of the 2 fights, the Chandler versus Cachoeira fight and the Duden versus Chavez fight, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I have no problems at all with the structure of this card. Check out my link tree for more video gaming stuff, more MMA stuff, and just generally places you can hear my melodious voice.